This is the voice of Turkey. This is the voice of Turkey. This is the voice of Turkey. This is the Voice of Turkey's English language transmission, broadcasting from Ankara in the 25-meter band between 1330 and 1430 UTC on 12035 kHz to Europe. You can listen to us over the Turksat 3A and 4A satellites and on the internet at www.trt.net.tr through the Voice of Turkey link. Our email address is englishdesk@trt.net.tr. Ladies and gentlemen, today is Sunday, March the 7th, 2021. This is the Voice of Turkey's English language transmission, presented by Efsun Duriye Öcalan. First, the news. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan on Saturday hailed the NATO Secretary General's comments regarding the Euro-Atlantic security and defense matters. We would like to thank the NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg for his objective evaluations on Euro-Atlantic security and defense matters, Recep Tayyip Erdogan said on Twitter. Turkey, as a NATO ally, will continue to fulfill all of its responsibilities and serve global peace and security, Erdogan added. Earlier, Jens Stoltenberg said European flanks are defended by non-EU countries, the US, Canada and the UK in the north and Turkey in the south. He said in the southeast, non-EU member Turkey sits on the borders with Syria and Iraq, and added that it is extremely important in the fight against Daesh and international terrorism. Turkey has continued to struggle against the Daesh terror group, which is also known as ISIS, in 2020. Turkish security forces maintained pressure on the group with operations in the country and on its borders. According to figures compiled by Turkey's Anadolu Agency, authorities detained 2,343 suspects, including so-called senior members of the group, seizing large amounts of documents, weapons, and ammunition. Pope Francis on Sunday visited Erbil, the capital of northern Iraq's Kurdish region, as part of his current visit to the Arab country. The pontiff was welcomed upon arrival by President of the Kurdish Regional Government, Najran Barzani, and Prime Minister Masroor Barzani. I am honored to receive Pope Francis in Erbil, Najran Barzani wrote on Twitter following his meeting with the pontiff. We reiterate our lasting commitment to peace, religious freedom, and fraternity, he added. After the meeting, the 84-year-old pontiff flew to Mosul to pray for the victims of war in the devastated northern Iraqi city that was once captured by the Daesh terror group. Francis is also scheduled to visit the Christian town of Baktida, also known as Karakosh, in the northern Nineveh province. The Pope is set to return to Erbil on Sunday afternoon to hold a mass for nearly 10,000 attendees at the Franco Hariri Stadium. On Saturday, Pope Francis held a historic meeting with Iraq's top Shia cleric Ali al-Sistani in the northern Najaf city. Francis arrived in Baghdad on Friday, where he separately met Iraqi Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kadhimi and President Bahram Saleh, as well as other government and religious Iraqi figures. Turkey considers disinformation originating from inside and outside the country as a national security issue and tries to take the necessary measures against it, said Turkey's communications director Fahrettin Altun on Saturday. In a speech at the Digital World Workshop, Fahrettin Altun said the flow of fake news originating from inside and outside the country also threatened to poison citizens' relations with the state and eroded their trust in the institutions. Therefore, we regard disinformation, especially from abroad, as a national security problem, and we are trying to take the necessary measures against this. We are very determined on this issue as well, Mr. Altun noted, and added that the Communications Directorate adopts an aggressive and provocative approach rather than a defensive and passive approach concerning the issue. We aim for all our institutions and organizations to fight against disinformation in cooperation and coordination. We arbitrate this goal with national and international plans and projects, he added. Two members of the National League for Democracy, the party of ousted State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi in Myanmar, were allegedly killed by Myanmar security forces during a night-long detention, family members said on Sunday. During midnight raids in several towns of the country's commercial city of Yangon, police, backed by soldiers, picked up Tin Mok Lat and Shen Win, the two NLD members, along with dozens of other people. Both were Muslims by faith, according to their family members. Lat served as the head of the NLD, Suu Kyi's party, in the township of Pebadan, while Win headed the party branch in the township on Haling. On Sunday morning, the authorities informed their families that both of them had died and that their bodies were being kept at a military hospital in Yangon. Win appeared to have been tortured by security forces during his overnight detention, a family member said, and added that his body was almost covered in blood. Germany's COVID-19 case tally crosses 2.5 million on Sunday. The number of confirmed virus cases in Germany has reached 2,532,000 and an increase of 8,000 new infections. The reported death toll rose by 96 to 71,900. The data from the Robert Koch Institute for Infectious Diseases showed. Meanwhile, Russia has reported 10,595 new COVID-19 cases, including 1,534 in Moscow, taking the national case tally to 4,322,000. The government's coronavirus task force said that 367 people had died during the past 24 hours. bringing the Russian death toll to nearly 90,000. China's export growth has jumped to the highest in over 2 decades, with imports also surging in a sharp bounce back from the coronavirus outbreak that had brought activity to a near halt. Electronics and textile exports, such as masks, contribute to the spike in outbound shipments as demand for work-from-home supplies and protective gear against the virus outbreak soared during the pandemic. Exports spiked 60.6% on year in the January-February period, well above the expectations. In Paraguay, President Moriarty Benitez has announced a cabinet reshuffle after violent street protests over the government's handling of the pandemic. And in Britain, NHS England has invited people aged 56 to 59 to book COVID-19 vaccinations in the coming week, with ladders to 850,000 people in that age span landing on doorsteps from Saturday, and another 850,000 due to land Monday. Britain's medical regulator on Thursday said it would fast-track vaccines for coronavirus variants, adding that makers of already authorized shots would not need new lengthy clinical trials to prove their adopted vaccines work. At least 100 people have been gathered at the front of the Idaho capital to burn mosques in a protest against COVID-19 measures taken to limit infections and deaths caused by the coronavirus pandemic. In New Zealand's Auckland, the biggest city of the country, emerged from a strict week-long lockdown imposed after a community cluster of the more contagious UK coronavirus variant. There were no new local COVID-19 cases recorded, health officials said, allowing further restrictions to ease if no community cases are confirmed during the rest of Sunday. It would make a full 7 days since the last community case in Auckland. And that was the news brought to you by the Voice of Turkey.